Mosier Media Podcast.
Good morning, Akron. Good morning, America. Welcome to the Monday Morning Commute. And how about that Super Bowl? I think all of America is going to be off to a late start this morning as, some were up celebrating, I'm sure, on the West Coast, and those of us on the East Coast who really wanted Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots to have it all. A little disappointed, certainly. And, of course, I shared earlier on a podcast about my, of course, he wouldn't remember me at all, but I rode the school bus with Mike Vrabel for one semester. Well, I was a sophomore. He was a freshman at Walsh Jesuit High School in Stowe, Ohio, where, of course, like everywhere he's gone, he is legendary. But, of course, this is not a sports show. This is a podcast where I like to come on and talk about building this YouTube channel, building our Facebook page, and all the things that we're doing in social media, and share that, of course, from the viewpoint of a person that owns a video production company and does this video work and all of this media work and social media advising for clients. And it's funny because, here we are in the Mosier Media camera room, which is where I like to do this podcast, mostly because that's where all the cameras are. But so many of our clients lean on us for advice about social media and about marketing and other things that really were outside the scope of the what we call original business plan. But I enjoy doing this so much. And the reality is I have to practice what I preach. So if someone were to ask me about YouTube and setting up a YouTube channel for their business and building it, which of course I want to support for so many reasons. Of course, I love video production. I love the impact that creating video content can have on a business of any size, on a career, even an individual that wants to start their own YouTube channel, a professional wants to share their advice or what they know or be an authority on a topic. It is really great to help someone build a YouTube channel. And of course, it's great to get video production work out of it, which is of course at the core of what we do. But in building our presence on social media, in using these podcasts, and part of the lesson is that a lot of video content you create can be used on a number of platforms, obviously YouTube being at the top. But this podcast, for example, the audio goes on to SoundCloud, which takes us to Spotify and a number of other podcast platforms. And of course, the video goes on Facebook. And sometimes they're a little too long for LinkedIn with a 15-minute limit. And then, of course, I watch how they perform. And, of course, over the past year or so, we've started cutting these videos into reels. And, of course, we record them in 4K as a method to be able to, in editing, cut them down, make them vertical, make them 9:16. And there's an advanced, not really advanced, but there is a technique in editing that you can use, which, of course, I'd love to discuss, probably outside the scope of a very short Monday morning speech about what we're trying to do here to help people who want to build their YouTube channel, build their Facebook presence, and do all of that. And what are the best techniques when it comes to doing a video, doing a podcast, and that sort of thing. And here's what I'll give you this morning as far as my point, and we'll call it practice what you preach. And last night during the Super Bowl, my son decided to make steaks. Now, he is very good at making steaks. So Sunday afternoon, I was at the grocery store like the rest of America, buying a couple things, and I picked up some steaks, and we were going to have some friends over, and I thought, we'll get all these steaks going and all this, and I'll impress all my friends with how my son can really make up a good, he seasons them, he does all this stuff, he's got this perfect, it's just, and it's fun to watch him be creative in the kitchen. And it's, of course, great to have someone else be making you a steak dinner, so there it goes. But we were really into the Super Bowl, and we were socializing and having fun, and he didn't get to be making the steaks until about maybe 8:30 or 9, towards the end of the Super Bowl, and it was clear that, wasn't clear that the Seahawks had it, but it wasn't obviously going well for the Patriots, and, I'm telling Matt, I said, hey, I think it's time to make the steaks. And unfortunately, he splatters some grease, and he's doing this with some other stuff on the stove, and he burns himself pretty badly. And my friend looks at that and says, oh my gosh, my son just burned himself in a similar sort of way. He goes, that's easily a second-degree burn, maybe worse, and you need to go to the ER right away. And he's in pain, and of course we turn off the stove, and the game is over. Unfortunately, the party's over, but the most important at that thing is taking care of my son. And we get into the car, and of course, where we are with our loft center we have downtown Akron, where we entertain and have all kinds of fun parties, we're very close to the hospitals. So, and this might be one of those grind my gears thing as the story goes on. There is one, maybe 2 points I'm going to make about the world we're living in right now when these sort of things happen. My son is a passenger in the car. We get in the car, we drive over there. We're 5 minutes from the hospital, and I just drop him. He's 20, and I drop him off at the door, and I watch as in the rearview mirrors I'm finding a parking space in the emergency area, and he's going through security, and there's a line at the ER at security. And unfortunately, this is the world we live in, and we all need to be safe, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for those of us that work to protect us at the door at the ER. No dig on them. It's just the world we live in. But there he is. He is in horrific pain because he had just burned himself, and all you have to do is hold up your hand. He's, looks like a kid. He's 20 years old, and he's there so they have to run him through the scanner, and they got to do this like he's getting on an airplane. And of course I approach, and I see other families holding infants that are bleeding out their head, and it's almost like, is this the world we live in? You got to put the infant in the scanner and run them through like a piece of luggage. This is the world we're living in. And I just thought, okay, maybe when you're in those moments, you're emotional. This is your son; he's in pain, and you want somebody right away. So then we go back to the area, the burn ward, and and all the first responders and nurses and doctors, and I have nothing but respect and admiration for those who work in that profession. Of course, I know I could not do it for so many reasons. So nothing but respect. But of course, they come out, and he's howling, and it's just getting worse. Nothing is working. The cold water. Of course, we didn't put ice on it. You don't put ice on a burn, of course. That's what we learned. They come on and start doing the medical insurance information, and they have to call down to finance. And at this point, I'm like, can we just skip that part and move on to the part where maybe we address the pain? And we have to do the financial information and health insurance information, all of that, and call over and get approval on the phone and do all this stuff. And they're taking his information, and I'm going, I'm not sure about this, and I'm not. This is not a grind my gears. This is not Thursday therapy. This is supposed to be about what we're doing to grow our business and what we're going to do this week to really get into it. So I'm to the point to all of it is this week is off to a rough start. And so we were there probably till about 1 o'clock in the morning. So here we are. And of course, I come in and I enjoy recording these podcasts at 6 a.m. I get a strong cup of coffee, my favorite coffee mug right here. WAOH television. There it is, a gift for my 50th birthday. Thank you, Justin. And then, of course, I use the Mosier Media things to hide my coffee, and now I just gave it away. So it's a rough Monday morning. And the point I want to make is that if you're in this for social media and you want to consistently post, you got to do it come hell or high water. And as part of WAOH television, we carry the Ray Horner Show live from WAKR Radio. And of course, in Akron, Ohio here, Ray Horner has the longest running morning radio show in our local radio history. So he's been on the air 25 years here on WAKR. 93.5, and of course my television station project, WAOH Television, has a collaboration where we carry them live. They're actually on right now, so I'm up anyway. So I like to get all the things that start our TV station at 5 a.m., drink my coffee, and then do the Monday morning commute, and I can be very timely and come on and talk about what I'm going to do this week to build the business and what advice I like to give about building your social media presence, and here it is. No matter what, you need to record consistently, and you need to treat it like a live broadcast or a live morning radio show, or treat it as if you have an audience, even if you don't. And if you treat it as if you have an audience, even though you don't, you will get an audience. You'll grow the audience. You'll pick up 1 or 2 or 5 or 10, and those folks will listen, and they may or may not know that you don't have an audience yet. They may not know they're the first, but welcome them in. And treat them as such that they've come into your orbit and your world, and at the same time, what do you have to offer them? And what do I have to offer my audience here? Always a fun story, I think. I enjoy telling stories, clearly. A visual of the Mosier Media camera room gives our audience a sense of who we are. We're a video production company. We've got a lot of cameras. This is us. But most important is I like to share what I have learned in an area where I'm not an expert. It's social media marketing, digital marketing, of course, SEO. I have no formal training in this area. I just have a lot of tinkering and experience. So the point being is, if I were to practice what I preach, I could have decided that, well, stayed up and watched the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to have a rough start this morning, or a late start, right? It should be a national holiday. The Monday morning after the Super Bowl, should that be a national holiday? Maybe. But even with spending the evening in the hospital, even if coming back to the loft at 1 o'clock in the morning, let's say, I could have easily said, well, we're not going to do a Monday morning podcast, or a Monday morning commute, or record the podcast because I've been up all night. And once you've been to the ER, anyone knows, if you've been to the ER at want to come back from 2 o'clock in the morning, you're not going right to bed. You're up. You're wired. So, this is me on a rough Monday morning, but I'm going to do this recording. And here's why it's important, is because if I'm promising my audience a quick speech on a Monday morning that talks about how we're going to get this business going, how we're going to make this week different than last week, you've got to be there. You got to be there consistently. You got to be there every Monday morning, and you got to be on time and as promised, just like with everything else you do in life. And if you're not willing to make the commitment to social media, treat it like a live broadcast. Treat it like it's your regular get-together. Then you could struggle if it's inconsistent. And at the same time, I genuinely hope that the information that I provide about how this is working for our business, and it could work for yours, that information comes to you at no charge, other than the loss of 10 or 15 minutes of your time in the car. And the idea behind all this was you're driving in. Here we are on a Monday morning, you're driving into work, or you're getting up, you're drinking your Monday morning coffee. Here we go, I could use a shot of it. Very clever, my 50th birthday, Justin and his wife gave me this. Wow, am I old as hell, taking the WAOH television call letters and putting this together. It's a very creative gift. This is one of my favorite gifts. Love it. So there it is. Maybe you're not in the car. Maybe you're not doing your Monday morning commute, and maybe you're drinking your coffee right now and listening to this. And what you want to think about is, what am I doing to grow the business this week better than what I did last? And maybe starting a podcast, maybe starting a social media series, coming up with something creative that ties your business and your passion, your life, into the work that you do. And how can you use that to give something to your audience where they come out better at the end for having heard it, for having watched it, for having consumed it? And that is ultimately, the plan going into it, and then ultimately the results you want. I want results for clients. I want results for you, the viewer. Even if you weren't paying a dime, certainly no one's paying a dime to watch this or listen to it, but I want anyone who's in our orbit to be successful. It's fun to be a part of the success of those around you, and certainly important to cultivate as much success around you as you can. It's beneficial for everybody involved. The end game, and here's what you do to wrap this up. Here's what you're going to do to check my work, see if this is all worth it, especially coming in early on a Monday morning with a couple hours sleep, is Google Video Production Akron, Ohio. Video Production Company Akron, any of those things. Google your own keywords. See where you rank. See where you are. Maybe that's something to do this week. Is it really worth making all of this effort to put out some content just to get to the top of Google? There's a lot of things along the way. It has to be authentic and legitimate, and all of those things. You got to give more than you take. All of those things. It's got to be real. But try it. See where we rank right now. See if this is worth your 10 or 15 minutes, and Google, or use any search engine you like. Obviously, Google is the one that we use, but use Bing if you like, or Yahoo maybe. Is Yahoo still out there? I should know these things if I'm going to be in this. But the reality is, the goal is, Google us to check my work. See if this is worth it. And if it is, consider, would you do something like this? Would you get on and tell the world the story of your business, your personal journey, in why you're doing what you love, why you are in the business you're in? And would you put it all out there for the benefit of getting your rankings and search results to improve, for the benefit of hearing yourself talk, maybe just coming in telling stories. It can be therapeutic, I promise you, just coming in and sharing. And of course, the joy of helping others be successful. That ultimately could be what it's all about. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. This has been on a rough Monday morning, but we're still here and smiling. The Monday Morning Commute. Thanks for watching.
Mosier Media Podcast.